Hello, it's Hooded Kobold, and welcome back to part 3 of our Gene's Guide to the Curse of Strahd. In our last one, we focused on the land of Barovia, but now we finally have made it to our first major location, the Village of Barovia. The Village of Barovia is the saddest place in the land. This is the starting line of the chapter, and it really paints a picture that this place is abysmal. It's sad. When the heroes first approach the village, they will notice that the roads are poorly maintained, as well as most of the buildings are full of holes and rotting and falling apart. And if they try to enter or knock on a couple of the doors, they'll notice that most of them, no one answers. And if they force their way in, they'll most of the time find rats or zombies. When the players get to the center of the town, they'll run into the first building, which they'll probably notice actually has occupants. This is Bildrath's Mercantile. Bildrath is an old, greedy man who runs the only general store in the village of Barovia. And he makes good coin at it, working with the local Vistani who traffic goods in and out of Barovia, and then this allows him to sell the goods to people who get trapped here. The book notes that he sells all his goods for 10 times the normal value. And since he has no competition in the village, one of his favorite lines is, "If you want it badly enough, you'll pay for it." One of the reasons that Bildrath is able to get away with this is his nephew Periwimple. His full name is actually Parpol Catimir, but everyone in the village just calls him Periwimple. Periwimple is your stereotypical good-natured oaf. He is extremely nice and kind and thinks everyone has some good in them. He's also built like a truck, so most of the time if anyone wants to give Bildrath a hard time, Periwimple just needs to walk over and most of the people change their mind. Periwimple also can be one of the Strahd's enemy from the Fortune of Ravenkind. But it's good to note that Periwimple is very reliant on Bildrath. He trusts him to a fault and will not leave Bildrath's side unless Bildrath gives his okay. Now, Bildrath is very used to using his nephew as a leverage or his get out of getting a beating card when he tries to extort people, so he will not give up Periwimple very easily. Bildrath will want to get something out of this transaction, since that's how he will view it. So if the players can convince some Vistani to bring in some goods or people to this land, that will help Bildrath make some more deals and will help Bildrath make some more money, so he will probably go along with it. But know that Bildrath is also not a good person, so he may renege on this deal at any time, and Periwimple will most likely come back to Bildrath's side. Our next location is Blood on the Vine. The tavern is run by Aaron Lawrensk, and the book hints that he is a soulless one. He's mindless, constantly cleaning his cups and just moving through and cleaning the next cup and the next cup, the next cup, and then will only answer brief, simple questions that involve drinks or food from the tavern. There are also 3 Vistani women who are in this tavern: Alenka, Maribel, and Sorvia. And if the characters are traveling with Vistani, they jump in and are very warm and welcoming, letting the players know that they really should go see Madame Ava. But if the players have not met any Vistani yet, this is a good chance to kind of show how they are different from the other Barovians in Barovia. And the last person in the tavern is Ismark Kolyanovich, but also known as Ismark the Lesser, which is a more derogatory term fed behind his back, since most of his life he's lived in his father's shadow. The book notes that Ismark is not a typical Barovian. He's not always dour and down. He's actually a little more lively. But that doesn't mean he is extremely trusting. He is still guarded, as most people are in this land, because it is hard to find someone to truly trust. Ismark is really in a tight spot, though. His father recently passed away a couple days ago, leaving the town without a true burgomaster. Also, side note, burgomaster is just like another word for mayor of a town. Ismark also has a second issue that he is worried about, and that's his sister, Irina. Ismark is unsure why, but he knows that Strahd and his minions are constantly after Irina. So Ismark wants to do whatever he can to try to help his sister, and reaches out to the players asking if they can help transport her or get her safely to the next nearest town of Vallaki. Ismark is not helpless, though. He is well trained with a sword and is willing to help escort her. It's also good to note here that if the players use the plea for help adventure hook, if they show him the letter, he lets them know that that's not his father's handwriting, and his father passed away a couple days ago, so there is no way that he wrote that letter. One of the first things that the players should have heard when they first entered the town of Barovia is a loud sobbing, a loud constant sobbing. And this is Mad Mary. If the players follow the noise, they'll reach Mad Mary's townhouse. Mary is completely distraught when the players first get there. If they are trying to be polite and knock, she doesn't answer. Also, most of the doors and every window has been boarded up. If the players are able to get into the house, they'll find Mary weeping, holding a small toy. The book notes that Mary only calms down if someone is kind and nice to her, comforting her maybe with a small hug or a soft voice. When Mary is finally able to calm down, she lets the players know that her daughter has gone missing. She did her best to hide her away from all the troubles of this world, but unfortunately something happened and her daughter is now gone. She fears that her daughter has gotten mixed up somehow with Strahd, and points the characters that way, hoping that they can save her daughter. She offers them her doll, hoping it will remind her of her youth, her childhood, and her mother, and will get Gertruda to come back. When the players inspect this doll, it is a malformed and quite ugly doll, and stitched into the hem of the dress is a small tag reading, "Is no fun, is no Blinsky," the signature tagline of the toy maker from Vallaki, Gadolf Blinsky. Most likely after meeting Ismark, they'll be taken to the Burgomaster's mansion. Here they will find a huge mansion that is boarded up, as most of the buildings are here in the village. They will also notice that there are footprints and smashed down grass all around the border of the mansion. When they go up to the mansion's heavy doors and knock, they will be greeted by Irina. Irina Kolyana is the adopted daughter of the late Burgomaster. As Ismark has most likely already told them, they have been accosted the last couple nights. Wolves and other creatures of the night have been swarming this mansion, assaulting it night after night. So because of this, Irina is not just going to let anyone in, and the heroes will have to persuade her to let them in, or if Ismark is there, she will open the door for him. When the players finally make it into the Burgomaster's mansion, they'll notice that there are holy symbols and other items of superstition that are all around the house, and this leads them to believe that they are trying everything they can to ward this house from evil. After some talk, it is inevitable that the conversation will move to how to escort Irina out of the city. Irina, though, immediately refuses, saying that her father must be put to rest before she will go anywhere. He was a great man and meant a lot to her. And this leads us to our next spot, the church. The church was a holy bastion for some time in the village of Barovia, but recently there is now a monster beneath the church that keeps everyone away now. When the players first enter the church, they will see this place was a battlefield. Things are broken everywhere, and dust is also everywhere, giving the feeling that this place is completely run down and no one comes here anymore. There are two things that the players will immediately hear, though, once they enter the church. The first is Donovich, the religious leader of the church, praying. Donovich is on his hands and knees, begging the Lord of Light to bring salvation to his son. Like a broken record, Donovich repeats prayers constantly over and over. And as the players approach him, he continues. But that is when they should hear the second noise. Cries of agony come from below the church. The cries are from a young boy who shouts out to his father, asking for nourishment. When the players go down below the church, though, the cries stop, and the boy hides in the dark corners. As the players continue to investigate, they will find out that Doro, Donovich's son, has been turned into a vampire spawn. If the players investigate further, they will find out that Doro was part of a small company that tried to take Strahd down. A mage, a wizard of great power, gathered as many people as he could around the area of Barovia to strike at Strahd's castle. Unfortunately for everyone, though, the assault failed miserably. Strahd, in his anger, turned Doro into a vampire spawn and sent him back to kill his father. Donovich was able to restrain his son, though, and keep him locked away underneath the church. And now, day in and day out, prays to the Morning Lord, hoping that he can cure his son of this vampirism. Donovich's only lot in life now is to help his son do whatever he can to make him not a vampire spawn anymore. So it will take the players either promising to try to assist Doro or slaying him. Either way, it would remove the curse. Once that priority has been taken care of, Donovich is willing to give burial rites, and then once Kolyan has been buried and had his final funeral rites given, Irina is willing to move to Vallaki. There are two special events that happen in the village of Barovia. The first one is the March of the Dead, and this is every night spectral figures pop out of the ground, out of the cemetery of the village of Barovia. An eerie green light suffuses the graveyard. From this light emerges a ghostly procession, wavering images of dowdy women toting great swords, woodwise men with slender bows, dwarves with glittering axes, and arcadally dressed mages with beards and strange pointed hats. All these and more march forth from the graveyard, their numbers growing by the second. This spectral procession starts in the graveyard and goes all the way to the Castle Ravenloft. If the players try to interact with them, they make no movement or consideration towards them. This is a good hint, though, to the players that these are all adventurers who have come before, who have tried to take on Strahd and failed. The second special event is the Dream Pastries, and this is Morgantha. She is a night hag, but disguises herself as an old, frail woman pushing a cart along the road. The players might watch her going from house to house, knocking at each door, offering to sell pastries to those who answer. She promises anyone who eats these great, pleasant dreams that can take them away from this land, this dreary and awful land, and give them nice, peaceful things to think about. One of the houses turns into a small altercation, though. The players will witness Morgantha grab a small boy and yank him from his family. The family doesn't put up too much of a fight, though, as they know they must do this. For the truth is, Morgantha is collecting children, and if you can't pay for your pastries, you have to make up the payment some way. Now, if the players try to intercede, she quickly notices that they are not from around here, and to hide her disguise, she lets the boy go, knowing that she can always just come back later. Also, she only fights in self-defense and will most likely try to just flee. Well, guys, that's it for the Village of Barovia. It is a rather small village and a great introduction to the land of Barovia and all of its sorrows and woes. As always, if you like the video, please leave it a like. And if you want to see more of this content, please subscribe. I definitely want to give a shout out to all of my lovely patrons who help support me financially. And next time, we'll be going to Castle Ravenloft. Bye-bye.